Guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Emily and today I'm doing the end of year survey, and the creator is the Perpetual page turner, which I believe comes from a blog. I could be wrong, but that's what I found, so we're gonna go with it. Okay, so there are, I believe, 20 questions. Yes. So let's get started. Number 1, how many books did you read this year? So far I've read 114 books. I know I'll probably read a little more. My goal would be to get to 120, so we'll see if that happens. And question number 2 is how many pages read? So far I have 37,143 right now. And that's based on Goodreads, so it could be a little off, but we're gonna go with that, hoping to get it a little higher. I would have liked 40,000 pages, but that's okay. 37 is still a lot. Also, sorry if you can hear noise in the background. My daughter is being loud, but they're home from school, so, you know, we just gotta roll with it. Question number 3, most read genre. For this, I'm gonna have to say fantasy and romance, and fantasy romance. So we're just gonna go with that. I did not double check, but I'm almost like 99% sure that those two are my most read genres this year. Question number 4, favorite 2021 release. And for that, I'm gonna have to go with a romance book, and that is Broken Bonds by J. Bree. I have been reading every book in this series that has been coming out this year so far. We have 3 books out so far, and I've read 2 of them. However, the 3rd book did come out this month, but I think I'm going to have to reread the other 2 to remember what happens in them, to read the 3rd one. So that's unfortunate, but hey, next year, maybe in January, I'll figure it out. But this book is so good. It has to deal with like reverse harem and these supernatural people. They've all got different powers, and it's so unique, and I absolutely love it. And we deal with this girl, Oleander, who kind of ran off after the death of her parents, and she's kind of just been in hiding and running, and it was all to save her bonds. But eventually she's caught and found and brought back to her bonds, and they absolutely hate her for what she did, for running away, and you know, it just made them kind of look bad, and it just, you know, hurt their feelings, I think, a little bit. But I love the series. It's so good, and I highly recommend it. Question number 5, favorite older title read in 2021. And for that, I'm gonna go with Robin Hobb's Farseer trilogy. These ones I believe came out in like the 1990s, 1995. So these are definitely older, definitely intimidating, but I was so happy I picked this up this year. Can't wait to continue on with the Realm of the Elderling series. I'd also just like to add in another one that I read this year. I read the entire trilogy, and I absolutely loved it. And this book came out in 2017. So I'm gonna go with The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden. I fell in love with this. It was just so good. It was a book that I didn't think I was gonna pick up at all, and then I just I think I found the book on sale, and I ended up getting the audiobook for it, and it was so good. It was so atmospheric and felt like fairy tale-esque, sort of, myth kind of, and I just loved it. It was so unique, and I was so happy I picked it up. Okay, question number 6, a book that lived up to the hype, and I'm gonna have to bring back out a book, and that is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. Pretty much the whole trilogy. This series is so hyped. All her books are really hyped, and I definitely think that these books lived up to that hype. Question number 7, a book that didn't live up to the hype. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go with Theft of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan. I expected this to be a 5-star read. It is 2 books put in one, and I sadly didn't love it, and it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't what I expected it to be, and I'm just really sad I didn't love it as much as I would have liked to. It was fun. I listened to the audiobooks, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, so that was a little bit of a fail for me. Question number 8, your biggest reading accomplishment. For that, I'm going to go with Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. If we're going based on like biggest book, this one was the biggest one, and it has 757 pages. Now, I've read, I think, bigger books than this, but this year that was what this was. And it's an adult fantasy, and it's mostly character driven, because we're following Fitz from when he's a young boy to when he's older, and watch as he grows into an assassin apprentice for the king, and all this stuff happens, and so good. It's not something I normally would have picked up, but I'm trying to read more adult fantasy, so next year you're going to be seeing a lot more of that, hopefully. But this was definitely an accomplishment for me. Question number 9, favorite character. For that, I'm going to go with Reed Ryan from Lie to Me by Molly McAdams, if I remember correctly. I think that's it. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notebook, trying to move along before my daughter gets too loud. Anyway, Reed Ryan. So he is a cop, and he is such a thoughtful, kind-hearted guy in the book. I can't remember the female's name. I read it a while ago. But essentially he's falling in love with a woman who has kind of a tragic backstory, and who does not trust cops or like authorities, mainly cops though. And he's a cop, and you know, he works really hard to try and understand and give her space and take it really slow, and just, you know, let her know that he is not a bad person, and that, you know, he cares for her. Oh, he's just so amazing, and I loved this book. Definitely one I need to pick up to add to my collection of romances, but I'm gonna say that he was my favorite character that I have not like reread from anyway, so we're going with that. Okay, number 10, my least favorite character, and I'm gonna have to go with Olivia from Blood Captive. I can't remember the author's name, but it'll be here in the picture. So Olivia gets captured by vampires and essentially is used for her blood, and she kind of just like, at first she was fighting, but then like immediately she was like, okay, you know, she just goes along with it and quits fighting, and then instantly falls in love with, you know, the other, or the guy that brought her there, whatever. And I hated it. I didn't hate it. It was okay. It was like a cheesy fun read, but I thought that she was not the brightest character, and I didn't think that she was developed very well, and I just did not like her. I did not like her. Sorry, but you're gonna be kidnapped by monsters and you're just gonna be okay with it after like 5 minutes? No, I don't think so. Question number 11, book with the most surprising moment. I'm gonna go with Black Sun. If y'all have read that first chapter, what? Torture? Wow. Like, that was really surprising. I did not expect that going into it. Yeah, that was really surprising. Question number 12, favorite writing of the year. And I'm gonna go with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by Victoria Schwab, or V.E. Schwab, sorry. She always has such amazing writing, and this was such a different story from what she's written, and I really enjoyed it. It wasn't like a new favorite, but it's one that's gonna like stick with me for a while. And the way she wrote these characters and how their thought processes went, and it's just so beautiful. So definitely by far my favorite writing in a book this year. Question number 13, the book you pushed the most people to read. I have a few, but I'm gonna bring up 2. So I'm gonna say Lockwood and Co. By Jonathan Stroud, sorry. I love that series. It's like a horror middle grade pushing on YA, I think. So good. And I also really have been trying to push this one, I think. Under a Painted Sky by Stacey Lee. I love this book. I never would have picked it up if it weren't for the book club at my library, and I'm so happy I did. I have yet to reread it yet this year, and I'm like really upset by it. You can bet your ass that I am going to reread this book before the end of this year, because I love it and I can read it in like one sitting, no problem. Question number 14, the book you'll be recommending the most. So other than Under a Painted Sky, which is gonna be a reread, but as far as a new book this year, I think I'm gonna go with Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. It is a middle grade, but it's so good and unique and diverse, and it follows Amari, and her brother has gone missing, and she is like trying to figure out, you know, where he went, like what happened, and she ends up getting, I think, like invited to the supernatural school, sort of, and she learns all kinds of things about herself and her brother and just the things that are going on at this place. And I loved it. It was so cute. Definitely didn't think I was gonna like love it as much as I did, because I'm not super big middle grade reader, but when I come across ones that are really good, I hype them up. So definitely this one. I'm really excited to pick up the second one. Question number 15, favorite newly discovered author. For that was easy. Grady Hendrix. I read Horror Store, and then I read the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by him. Loved both of them. Absolutely. He writes in the horror genre, and I am just so amazed with his writing and his storytelling, and they're just so engrossing and captivating, and I love it. Creepy, fun, absolutely love it. I will be reading every single thing from him, and maybe even rereading a few, but definitely a new favorite discovered author this year. Question number 16, favorite cover. There were so many, but the one I think I'm gonna go with is The Dead in the Dark by Courtney Gold. I didn't love this book as much as I thought I would, but the cover really draws me in. Every time I see it, my eyes just go straight to it, and it's so beautiful, and it's I think it's supposed to be slightly horror-esque in the young adult category, and we follow Logan and Ashley, and they're pretty much brought together by horrible circumstances, and they have to figure it out. I don't know, it's just so interesting. It was a unique idea, and it definitely has like small town vibes, so if you like small town vibes but not a lot of things happening, check this book out. But the cover is stunning, and I definitely would be interested to read more by this author. Question number 17, a book that made you cry the most. I'm gonna have to go with And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer, I believe is the title. It's by Frederick Bachman, and it's so short. I listened to the audiobook, and it was just so heartbreaking. I will be picking up more by this author. I think his writing is phenomenal, and I've heard nothing but good things about his other books. I really want to try Beartown and A Man Called Uwe. Those two are high on my list. Question number 18, a book that made you laugh the most. I'm gonna have to go with Lockwood & Co. That one was so funny. I found myself laughing out loud multiple times at the characters. Lucy, Lockwood, and George were funny, and I just was so happy that I found this series this year. Definitely one I will be rereading, especially around the spooky time. Perfect for that. But yes, I definitely would say that I can recall those ones made me laugh the most. Question number 19, favorite reread. So I have 3 here. So let's just get into it. I have Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. I think I originally gave this 4 stars, but upon reread, I gave it 5 stars. Absolutely love this. We follow Misha and Ryan and their pen pals, and I think their teachers thought they were both like either a boy or girl because of their names, but they're pen pals for a while, but they agree not to meet each other, I believe. And one day, Misha sees Ryan, but she doesn't know about it, and then something terrible happens to him, and now he won't write back to her, and I feel like he maybe kind of blames her for it, and it's just so good, and has so many good like lyric quotes in here, and like I have some tabbed, but I really wanted to read this again this year. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but again, this was another audiobook I listened to also, so super excited to have gotten to this one this year. Another one is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I read this in like 2017, and then again in like 2018 or 2019, and then I think I might have last year, I don't know. But I read it again this year. Love it, love the characters. Such a unique idea for like Criminal Minds, but for kids, and it did such a good job. The mysteries were great, the criminals in here were good, the banter and like this found family, amazing. The last reread that I'm going to talk about is going to be the Acotar series by Sarah J. Maas. I reread them because I need to read Court of Silver Flames, and I haven't gotten to that yet. It might be a next year thing. I just haven't been in the mood to read this month, but I do love this series and these characters and can't get enough, so I'm happy to reread these. I definitely need to reread her other series, Throne of Glass. It feels like it's been forever, and I just love her writing and her other characters, and so she's definitely an author that I feel like I need to read something from her every year, or else it just won't feel right. Question number 20, most surprising 5-star read, and for this I have 3, okay? I'm narrowing it down. It was really hard, but I've got 3. Nope, 4. 4 most surprising 5-star reads. Okay, so the first one I'm going to go with is Starlight by Hannah Lee Kidder. So this is a book about short stories and flash fiction, and they're all kind of creepy stories, so good for spooky time. I've never heard of flash fiction until this year, and I watch her videos on YouTube. She's an author, so she does a lot of like writing videos. But I read both her short stories, and I fell in love with them. They're so good. She writes such unique stories. They're very diverse and unique, and they're so good for being so small. So I would definitely check this one out. The next one we're going to go with is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I don't do well with historicals. I usually find that I love them, but it's hard for me to get through them quickly. So this one I did listen to on audiobook, which really helped me, and I found that I absolutely loved it, and it was so good. So good that I picked up a few more books by this author, and I can't wait to get to them. This next one I read at like the very beginning of the year. I think it might have been my first read of the year. And that is The Night Swim by Megan Golden, I believe. I listened to the audiobook. It's got like podcast elements, so it was perfect. Amazing. 5 out of 5 stars. So surprised I loved it as much as I did. I didn't even know if I was going to pick it up, but once I heard that there was a podcast element into it, I like snatched it and listened to it and fell in love with it. And the last one I want to go over is Black Sun by Rebecca Rowanhorse, I believe. I wasn't gonna read this book. The cover kind of put me off a little bit. It is stunning, but I wasn't sure like what to expect. Like I said earlier, I did just get into adult fantasy. And now I read adult fantasy romance a lot, but I'm just getting into adult high epic fantasies, and I'm hoping to do more next year. I definitely will be, but going into it this year was just kind of like dipping my toes in the water of adult fantasy, and I was very surprised at how much I enjoyed this book. And it follows multiple characters, and it's just very unique, and I was just so surprised, especially shocked by that first chapter. I mean, come on, but so good. And I found myself like wanting to immediately pick it back up and reread it and then move into the second book, but it doesn't come out till April. But definitely, I think probably my most surprising 5-star read of the year. Okay, so that was the end of year survey. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm so sorry for not kind of doing more videos for this year. I've just felt like I've just been hit with like one thing after another, and I just needed to take a break, and I know that you guys will probably understand. So I'm not too worried about it, but I'm trying to make up for lost time, and I'm feeling a little better, and I just am happy to get back to talking about books with you guys. So like this video down below if you liked it, comment letting me know how many books you read this year, and subscribe if you want to. I would really appreciate it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.